Hello and welcome to another installment of Game Chat with Tom and Lucas. I'm Lucas, that's Tom, and we have a very special episode for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We
do.
a very special guest. Before we get into that, Tom, how's it going?
It's going great, brother. How you doing? Work is work. We're getting through life. Nothing much has occurred. I have to start like planning a wedding with Paige and getting real amped to dive into those things. And yeah, just a lot of life happening. Going golfing this weekend, not with you because
No, you're not.
you don't
Because
like
that is too
me.
too far a trip.
Listen, I would make the trip to come golfing with you, buddy.
Wow.
Any
now
day.
I feel terrible.
As you should. As you should. The game of champions. How you doing? What you been doing in life? What's
I've
good?
been registering for classes, so we're officially getting underway with that in 2 weeks.
Lucas is going to be a zoologist, ladies and gentlemen.
I will
He's
be a
taking the
student
first
once
steps.
again. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Big first step.
I just want to say I am proud of you for taking that step. You know, a lot of people hit points in their lives where they're like, I don't really know what I want to do, but you're taking actions to make the things you want to happen. And not everybody can take those steps. So, you know what? Props to you, my friend. Kick
Thank
ass.
you. I wasn't
kicking ass.
I wasn't ready to sell out to the man just yet. Yeah, we'll get right into it. Into the interview that we have. Once again, everybody, interview episode.
Yes. Our guest this week is a producer, a production manager, and most importantly, a creative. He works extensively with the Crown channel on YouTube, producing shows such as Fight Night, Simulation Mode, and the very widely renowned and watched Ultimate Crown featuring both Mr. Beast and Ninja. He has a full-length musical album out called Mindless, and he's also an incredibly talented motion graphics designer. Also known as Lone Human, ladies and gentlemen, we're jumping right into it. It's our friend Marc Gleckman. What up, Internet? Welcome back. We're here with our good friend, Marc Gleckman. He is here. We are interviewing him today, and we're absolutely pumped for it. So without further ado, we'll just jump right in. Marc, thank you for coming on, my friend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm very excited to have this conversation with you.
No, I'm beyond stoked to be here with you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun.
For some background, I met Marc's good friend Ian as a new coworker at work, and we were just chatting about games one day, and then Marc's name got brought up, and one thing led to another, and now here we are. Ian, shout out to you. Thank you for setting this up, my friend. What's going on, man? How you been doing?
We've been busy per usual. It's been nuts. You know, things are coming back into being in person and still, remote at the same time. So people want the best of both worlds. And, part of my background is that I pieced together the craziness that is production in 2020 through now. So it's been busy. It's been a busy past like 2 or 3 years, but it's my bread and butter. It's what I do now. So talk to me about all the things behind the curtain. I got you covered.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, like we'll dive into some of the things you have been getting into in these past few years specifically as we get on a little bit. But for some background, Marc, also known as Lone Human, is a producer, production manager, and most importantly, a creative. Seeing some of his stuff on his Instagram, on your homepage, he's a very talented graphic designer and artist. He does a lot out there with the stuff he creates. So it's nice to have him here, and I'm very excited to learn about some of the productions that you've helped put on over the past few years. I know Lucas has been as well. We've been looking into it. But why don't you just start and tell us a little bit about what got you into this kind of stuff, these passions, animation, graphics, production, that kind of thing.
First off, you guys make me sound way cooler than I actually am.
Oh, stop, man.
I do not deserve that kind of an intro. Basically grew up a pretty deep computer nerd, played video games for a pretty long time when I was a kid. And, the classic thing, you're never going to get anywhere if you play video games. Well, it's everything I do now. So keep at it, never stop playing them, but keep yourself interested and don't get too sweaty. It's my probably best intro. I started basically getting into visuals and graphics and stuff like that pretty much like when I was high school going into college. Do any tutorial, you'll find yourself downloading Blender at some point in your life, as well as trying to edit something in Photoshop, and you're going to suck for the first year or two, but YouTube is your best friend. And essentially I was struggling because I wanted to create things that I saw online, and I always felt like I was like 1 or 2 steps away from doing that. And by the time I was making the things that I saw online, I felt like I was also 1 or 2 steps away from doing something else. So, by the time I reached pretty much the end of college and starting into new things, I realized like, oh, I like doing this a lot. It's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people through animation and through design. You learn new things. You learn what you really like doing, what's, a huge pain to work on. So, over time, I really got used to doing this kind of stuff and enjoyed it, and was able to do it pretty fast, which led to more or less what I do now. When you know how to do it well and do it fast, you get a chance to teach other people and lead other people to make the stuff that you were trying to make when you were, younger or just learning it.
Yeah, and I can imagine that's an incredibly fulfilling experience getting to that level. I did a little bit of animation myself and motion graphics in college as well. So, I am somewhat familiar with the profession. So I know what goes into this kind of stuff. So I see your stuff online and I am very impressed. So you're definitely doing great.
I really appreciate that. That's way too kind of you. It's tough. Like, you dive into it and you can mess up a project you've been working on for 3 days in a heartbeat, and you're like, there's no turning. At least with digital, you have autosave, which you can like go back to at some point. But you mess up a project deep enough, and there's no turning around.
Yeah. I've definitely been there before.
Happens to the best of us.
So obviously, you not only do the graphic design and stuff, but you also have Lone Human Productions. And Tom and I were curious as to how you came up with that brand name and logo, and just
oh my gosh,
the design of it.
Sweet logo, by the way. Sweet logo.
I appreciate that. I think when I was, a ripe age of like 14 or 15, I was dreaming of having this conversation with 2 fabulous people like, Thomas and Lucas right here. I never envisioned ever being able to talk about this kind of stuff. But I remember when I was like that age, I was looking into it and I was like, someday somebody's going to ask me what the purpose of this is and what it means. And it goes back pretty far. I had obviously like some other names that I would DJ with and do other cringy things with. And then Lone Human came and I was like, I like that a lot better. I originally started calling it Lonely Human, and people were like, that's kind of depressing. Lonely Human Productions, that's weird. But it started off as basically like my DJ name when I used to DJ.
Okay.
And it was that, and then I thought I was going to turn into a brand, being a 17 year old DJ, like, oh, I got it going on. I'm going to make shirts. I'm going to make posters. I'm going to go on tour. I'm going to DM these people on Instagram. And as embarrassing as I feel like it was important to reflect on that and look back and be like, that's not, that wouldn't have been a fun life,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely important to have that branding though. Cause like, if you start it early, you never know where it's going to get you.
If you get the @ on Instagram, hold that tight, because I know so many people that I've worked with that are like, I even got it on Twitter, but I could not get on Instagram. It's blank _official _TTV or something like that,
Yeah, for sure.
You guys got the game chat one, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. We have a pretty solid one on Twitter too. And, hopefully someday we'll get our Twitter back up and running.
Maybe.
Because I screwed that up. I screwed the pooch on that one, but hopefully we'll get it back. Kind of talking about how like you had this going when you were a DJ way back when you started really, developing yourself and developing your brand. One of your Insta posts that we had seen said, along with you doing some DJing, like 3 years ago, you were also a fry cook. So, I know you've been busy. What has skyrocketed sort of your trajectory in life? What has changed for you quite a lot over the past couple of years?
It's so funny. You dive into that. I remember that these things are public once you announce them, and it's the funniest thing to like relive those things. No, you're absolutely right. I was a fry cook before I did this. That's a bit of a generalization because I did production work for years before that, just nothing official. And it's fun to say I went from being a fry cook to like production manager, producer. But realistically, yeah, it was like 2019. I just graduated from Seattle University with Ian, which is awesome. And I was starting off, I did some work in the theater, Seattle University theater, not like officially as a major, but as a person in there. I would end rehearsals from some shows and go off to do DJ gigs or things. And I felt bad for doing it, but apparently some professors are watching when I would be like, I have to leave this meeting a little early. I have to run to do an event.
Mhm.
And some of them were like, oh my God, he's leaving it. And other ones were like, that's dedication. I was like, I didn't realize that was happening until somebody recommended me for a job, which I have now. And she said, this person is, I see him running from event to event. So I think he might be good. Go give him a shot.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I got a pretty sweet job out of the gate doing stuff that I more or less love, combining events and video games. I didn't realize how big that was, but I worked with some people that are in their like 30s, 40s, and they were like, we just don't have the context of what puts on a good show,
Mhm.
They don't play video games. They don't understand that like there's a lot of insider stuff that you got to put in or else it's, cringe or it's embarrassing or,
Yes.
it's not poggers or however you want to put it. But
And that's like, I couldn't agree with you more on the cringe aspect of it. We'll get into this a little bit later, but you've worked pretty extensively with the Crown channel on Twitch. I see like what they do. I don't know if you've ever watched any documentary about like the history of gaming. It's like the most hard to view thing because it's just like, oh wow, this was made by people sitting around a table who have like never picked up a controller or like have no idea what Mario even is, like that kind of stuff. So it's nice to hear that you're able to find that cross section for the things you love and really make that kind of content that shines when it's made by those who know what they're doing.
And that's not to say to discount people that are like, older and are very much with gaming culture, which is a big part of it.
Oh,
You
for
can
sure.
make terrific content knowing that background or working with people that know that background. But spearheading it while you've been separated from it from a long time in most things will just end up pretty embarrassing. And gaming is the easiest way and easiest genre to spot when people are out of touch.
Mhm.
People are absolutely brutal in chat and comments and on Twitch and stuff,
The gamer base can be like some of the greatest communities out there, but also can be, like you said, very, very brutal.
Sweaty and brutal.
Gamers are very honest.
Yeah, when you never have to reveal your face and you're only in lobbies, you can say and do whatever you want, and it's up to the devs to figure that part out.
Yeah.
Very true.
Where things get tough.
Obviously, no longer a fry cook. You got
Right.
you got
Back to that.
You got some big stuff going on now. You're like a client base, which is a pretty cool thing. Particularly, we were looking at the virtual escape games and your involvement with them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we wanted to know kind of how does one go about getting those kinds of clients?
There's a lot that goes into it, but not necessarily something that's gatekept by somebody who feels like they can just jump into stuff or have those resources available. It's really so first off, I want to separate this from the stuff that I do, like, for Crown and event wise. And, I work for a production company that works for Crown. I want to clarify that too, that I don't directly work for Crown Channel, but we do their productions.
Right.
A lot of them. More specifically, though, around getting clients and starting your business and things like that. It takes a lot of time and a lot of courage to build up the ability to want to pursue things like that and feel comfortable with your own work and art and stuff like that. Generally, it helps to do it on a smaller scale first. Now, for the instance of that, it's somebody that I went to school with, and they actually hired me as a DJ for other events. So I would show up with my gear and DJ for them and stuff like that, and I made that connection. You add them on Instagram, you add them on Facebook, whatever. All of a sudden, they're looking for an artist, or somebody refers you. They're like, "Hey, you do 3D stuff. This person is looking for a 3D thing," and I'm like, "I know them. I used to do events for them." And then that will automatically bridge you in a way that you never expected. Totally different from other kinds of networking, because people get intimidated walking into a room going, "I do 3D design. Who wants to hire me?" And it's like, you started like a year ago. You're a little anxious to present yourself like that. But when it's with a friend that and you could talk through and be like, "Look, I do this, but I'm probably not the best, and I'm not looking for too much money. But if you like it, it's something you could use." And when they tell you stuff like, "Hey, this room turned out really great and you do it really fast. Can we get another 3?" You're like, "Yeah, I would love to." It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, that's the nice part about like working with your friends, you know, us, we here at What Do You Mean Productions and on, you know, the Game Chat podcast, like we all know each other quite well. Like, you know, I've been friends with Bill, like literally as far back as I can remember. Me and Lucas are both fraternity brothers from the same college and we live together as well. So like that kind of networking is super important. And in my opinion, it feels like, you know, feels all the more rewarding when you and your peers can all get together and really boost each other up.
You get the opportunity to like carry each other, and like this is exactly what Ian just did. Like he
there you go.
this is a person you should talk to, and I'm like, oh, that's incredible that I get to do an interview like this. You know, it's the exact same thing.
Jumping out of your more, for lack of a better term, like your more solo kind of gigs, like with virtual escape games, which by the way, those are super cool. Must have been crazy popular during the COVID times.
You know what? It's honestly an absolute thrill, and I'm gonna spoil a surprise. I'm trying to pull up the 3D model of it so I can show you guys really quick. And I hope that's all coming through, and I hope this shows in the broadcast as well. But yeah, check this out. So basically, the escape room works in a couple of different ways. You explore a room that covers a bunch of different ground. Not all of it is modeled, of course, but I model the stuff I need to.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for instance, one of the views may be something like this, or that's tough, but you know, looking at the desk like that. Another image may be more zoomed in. What's this on the floor? What's on the TV? What's on the whiteboard? Maybe it's something where the lamp is flickering. You know, maybe you get a shot in the corner like this, where it's like an intro. You're trying to pick out, you know, where you're going to go on your adventure. You're going to walk onto the tapes down over there, or you're going to go over the TV, the lamp, the desk.
Oh, that's crazy, actually.
I wonder if I can edit this too. That's funny. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That's
Game
awesome.
Chat with Tom and Lucas.
That's sweet.
There you go. That's the clip. That's the thumbnail right there.
Oh my God, I love that.
But yeah, no, it's awesome being able to, you know, like this is the thing too. Like, right, a long time ago, I was like, I would love to make something like this. I don't know where to start. You quietly learn how to like source models, or like, let's say you're trying to figure out how to model this box, model this wall. How do I make the wood look realistic, right? Mm-hmm. All sorts of things that go into that. And over time, you find yourself diving into things you never thought possible. And then years later, you're like, oh yeah, it's easy. You just layer on the floor, you get the walls, you get the displacement, you get all the things that I'm actively trying to pull up right now. Let's see. Yeah, like this mess over here, the shader nodes.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. The UV of the object going into the two different sides, half displaced with the material and roughness and all that stuff. Seeing this for the first time, you're like, I'm never going to learn how to do this, right? It's terrifying. But you get it over time. You learn it. There's enough resources. And if you care enough to take the time to fail, you'll learn this stuff and get gigs like this in a heartbeat. I promise you.
And lots and lots and lots of notebooks trying to remember all this stuff, I imagine.
I haven't written anything down. This is just me learning. I feel confident about it. I close the YouTube tutorial and then I get lost and I reopen it and get mad at myself and repeat that process for hours. I'm very stubborn.
Best way to go too. So with these specifically, do they get different clips and different essentially like snapshots and images of the room, or is it more so? Okay, that's pretty cool.
And so let's say this is for one zone, one room or something like that. There are a whole bunch, and obviously half of these aren't really for this project, but I'm trying to find one that I particularly is pretty cool that relates to this. It is the horror gas station. So this is another example. I'm probably spoiling stuff, and I'm sure I'm going to get a message later like, you totally spoiled my escape rooms. But essentially, like, yeah, you get a bunch of different perspectives, and I'll send them the full scene of this, and they go, I really like this, but can I get a better view of the gas sign? Mm-hmm. Can I get a better view of the telephone? Maybe it's like on this side, the sign's supposed to say something.
Yeah.
This is just a model I found online, so I don't know what Christine's point is, but you know, stuff like that. Trash on the floor. Maybe it's looking into the tunnel. Once you build the scene like this, you can get any angle you want, and that's what I think really sells an escape room, is that whatever the narrative is created for that, it can follow in a 3D space versus an illustration, because that takes a lot more time and perspective, of course.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, this is super cool to see that you're able to like utilize this with large group functions, I imagine too. Like that makes it a lot more fun too.
I don't know about the inner workings of how the funny thing is I've never done one of these escape
Oh,
rooms.
no way, really?
I've made dozens of them and I've never done one.
That's too funny.
It's hilarious. And he's like, you have to do them at some point. I'm like, I know.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we can try one out on stream sometime.
It'd be awesome.
That would be sweet. Well, okay. Thank you for showing those.
Yeah, of course. It was awesome to showcase it.
Seeing the Blender stuff is also like super cool and a very nice like behind the curtains look as well. I started like with Maya. Didn't
Oh, Maya's tough.
Maya is like a headache and a half, and that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, thank you for showing. That was indeed super cool. Kind of factoring into this, you're doing this work to essentially like help create a game for people, which will lead us right back into your work with the Crown channel. So, for those who are unaware and might not know what it is, the Crown channel is basically like a premier entertainment destination on Twitch that essentially combines like gaming, pop culture, and fan interactivity. All the shows are pretty much like very driven by the fans to interact with what's happening on screen via like Twitch chat and things like that. So tell us about how you got your start there.
I got started with them. Actually, it was before Crown even launched. I was working with the production company I work for, and it was kind of like a small integration at a music festival where they basically had a streamer who was walking around with a camera interviewing people at the festival near the Crown area, which was at that time, it was tiny. It was just like a little collection of lockers at a music festival. And it was pretty awesome that people were, online and live and like in the middle of a festival, because I feel like you don't really get that in music festivals. Nobody's really walking around with a camera. And it's about gaming stuff. So it's like, they're not asking you, how do you like the event and things like that. It's more like, hey, you watching anyone on Twitch right now? And they'll say somebody and it's like, oh, I don't like that person, get out of here. It's like personal, right?
That's cool.
And that kind of, I don't want to tell the story on behalf of Crown, but that kind of helped launch that section of it where it's up to the audience and the chat to figure out how things go, basically. Every show has that live element of like, you decide the next path, you figure this thing out. Which is really cool from a viewer's perspective, but creating a show from that is challenging, to say the least. Like it's a really fun challenge. I will say it's like the most rewarding work when you can pull it off and everything works together. But just think about like the outcomes that need to happen if you have a really solid narrative. Mm-hmm. You have to basically set the show up in a way that it can go in any direction.
Yeah, that I can't imagine how much like guessing work goes into that.
It comes with a lot of practice too. Obviously, when the channel was starting out, it was like late 2019, early 2020, which there's enough chaos in the world, let alone launching a channel that could, it could go anywhere. Yeah. These shows can be off the rails, and the more crazy they were, the more attention it got, and the better the shows and bigger the shows got. But being on the back end of that was wild. We learned the best approaches and how to do things, how to get people the gear they need for their homes, and how to get their quality working when the internet is out and COVID and getting kits back and forth. There's so much happening in the background to make what seems like if the production looks easy, it's because a ton of work was put in the background to make it look that easy.
Behind whoever's like talking on screen, there's another like 30 people like making sure he's able to talk there on the screen and do his thing.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, shout out producers everywhere.
Shout out the producers. I'm telling you, they're the invisible heroes putting out fires.
We wouldn't be able to do what we do right now without Bill. So thank you for once again always being real with us, Bill, and helping us make this great show.
Speaking of great shows, hashtag transition. You have some shows you were working on, Fight Night and Simulation Mode, and we were checking those out. And we were just kind of wondering what do you enjoy most about each of those shows?
Fight Night is, I'll go to that one in a second because that's on season 3/4, and it's been a ride. And I would love to go more in detail with that one. But Simulation Mode was my first, coming out of it was a lot of pressure on me. It was like first big show out of college, first big show period that was solely my responsibility. Also out of college, I'm young, I have a lot to prove for myself, and I think there's a lot of eyes that go on this thing, so you have to be very ready to tackle whatever comes your way. It was sponsored by Age of Empires 4 for their release, So just add that on top of all the pressure that I was facing. And
yeah, huge game right behind it.
Exactly. You have people fighting in combat suits with weapons.
That shit looked awesome, not gonna lie.
I'm so glad. Man, the road to get there was so crazy, and it was hilarious and awesome. And working with stunt actors like that was an absolute trip. Like, I could talk about the stunt actors for hours on their selves, but no, I think about all the stuff that goes into a live show with weapons. There's a lot of stuff, but it was so much fun. And my favorite part was probably seeing the mock-ups, seeing the script, and then being able to sit on the sidelines and watch the show come together. That's pretty cliche for a producer, but you do your job right when you can just watch everything work and actually see it from an audience perspective during it. Not putting out fires, not dealing with things like that.
Yeah, I can imagine how rewarding that must be when you're like able to be like, oh, because of the things I did, I get to watch people literally beat the shit out of each other with two-handed bow staffs and
one of the funniest parts. Exactly, the weapons. I thank goodness the showrunner on Crown knew about the weapons, because we were going into it and he's like, yeah, this kind of weapon and this kind of shield, and like the Rus and the like English Royal Navy use this, not Navy. This is exactly what I'm talking about. He had it down. He knew the historical stuff, and we had a weapons specialist. Shout out Brian Forrest, who is a armed combat and weapons specialist and stunt actor and performer.
Oh wow.
He just like knew it all and was able to source and fabricate half the weapons. And it's great. The whole process of stunt and prop weapons. Like, I went from Twitch streaming gamers to like, let's learn about how they use swords and shields and medieval stuff in movies and theater and stuff.
See, that's the sort of crazy thing that must be like awesome to just like come across as you move from different productions from one to the other, is just like all the extra stuff you never thought you'd learn about, the different aspects of life that go into something like this. It always blows my mind to see it when things like that come together.
The stories you get from it too, right? Like, for instance, I learned, and this is great for anyone interested in making model weapons, or you want to start LARPing, you need to know this, but forging the metals that go into those weapons come from recycled airplanes. Since the aluminum is so light in those airplanes, they make great for surrounding and casing weapons that are very durable. So you get things like these long swords, you get the broadswords, you get all those things, and they're made out of like they're forged out of frames of airplanes.
That's crazy.
You pick them up and they're like heavy. And we were doing the site visits about a month and a half before the event, and I was picking up the weapons that we're showcasing and things like that. I got an awesome photo out of it, but I was like, they're gonna hit each other with this stuff? Like, oh my God, I'm even more terrified now.
I did not expect to see what I was gonna see. If you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking out Simulation Mode. It's the whole VOD is up on YouTube, but like, I expected to see like Age of Empires gameplay, and it's literally just people beating the shit out of each other, like full tilt with weapons. It was so cool.
I gotta say something super quick about the stunt actors for that, the people that played the combatants. So they come from a LARPing background, a LARPing world, which I know nothing about. You get told you're gonna work with LARPers and somebody's managing them. I'm like, cool. Just tell me how much you want to get paid for this. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
They will fight it. They'll go across the country, up the state. They were competing in Sacramento and coming back down here for other things. And the conditions that I wanted to set them up in is obviously I'm going to make sure that you guys are safe. I'm terrified for myself entering this area, let alone you guys fighting. So we made a ring to surround us so the cameras don't get destroyed, obviously. Foam plating on the ground, as well as making sure that their armor is inspected by like safety professionals and medics. They come there and they're like, oh, this is way more than we normally get. And I'm like, what do you guys normally get? And they're like, we use our helmets and there's usually a concrete floor. And I'm like, really? Like, you guys work like that?
Like, yeah, let's do it.
It's funny. I'm sure they've had way too many concussions to be able to like count, but no, they're pretty hardy people, and they're hilarious, honestly. Like, they all had such good spirits and energy, but when it comes to playing their character, they're all like the screaming arming, like, I'm gonna be the Rus, I'm gonna be the grand. I forget the nations.
Leaning into it, yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Lucas, could you see yourself doing LARPing someday?
Someday? Yeah, sure. Like a couple decades down the road, give it a go.
Hey man, it's just one more thing we can try out someday, you know.
Like I said, you got to start somewhere with it.
We'll 1v1 LARP, Tom. Next show.
That's how we'll practice.
Last thing about that though, you won't be able to carry that stuff for more than 20 seconds in full armor. That stuff weighs so much.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's always what I like hear because I've like weirdly enough, it happened a lot when I was living in Minnesota with my fiance Paige. Like we would go hiking quite a lot out there, and like way more often than I'd think, I would run into a bunch of people just LARPing in the woods. And like that would always be the one thing I would ask them. I'm like, you guys have so much shit on you. Like, is this not like heavy? And they're like, well, honestly, it's a really good workout. Like, it keeps us fit. Like, it's fun to do. And I'm like, okay, you've convinced me. Sounds good to me. Jumping off of simulation mode, which definitely sounds like it was a blast to work with. Talk to us a little bit about Fight Night, because like you said, that's currently in its third season. It's ongoing. I see it's like every Wednesday night, I believe.
Oh yeah, that is my baby. Fight Night is the first show that I was given enough responsibility to run, and I was terrified. Like, it's a show by Crown, and my name is on it, and it's the first time you get to do this. Don't mess it up. Everything has to go perfect. The show hasn't even launched, and there's sponsors for it, so be ready. We have to plan those things. I was sweating buckets for like weeks trying to get that together. And working with Chelsea and Action, who are the two hosts of the show. Basically, the premise of the show is it's two lovely people that have a ongoing rivalry, and there's a new guest and new game each week. So they play something new, play with a new guest, and the rest is just chaos. It's probably the best way to describe it. All the inside jokes, you watch a sitcom or things like that, things are pretty simple, and then you watch the show and you're like, there's so many inside jokes and weird things in here, but all I hear is screaming and yelling. I wonder what this is all about. And that's kind of how it started, and it was a success. Like I'm very lucky that things technically worked out for it, as well as the narrative. Like these two were at each other's throats from the start, and on Twitch, when you get arguments like that, everyone loves it, right? It's the drama. They don't actually hate each other, but the way that it's portrayed is so good. It's the content, yeah. We did 4 episodes originally for that, ending on I think we played Warzone, and then they got another 5th one at the end of that season, stretching on to season 2. We did 20 episodes of that throughout the rest of the year. I was stoked.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like,
that's a huge leap.
Yeah, right. And to know that, like to get told that after the first season, hey, you're on for season 2 for 20 more episodes, I was so excited. And that ended the end of last year, the big hurrah, big finale that we did, and then we got booked for 30 episodes this year. And
my god, it just
exactly
keeps coming. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Thank you. The show's been growing so much, and graphically it looks totally different. There's all these things I've gotten to try. All goes together. I have these things that I want to make graphically, and with the help of a lot of people, I'm able to really implement it and put it together. So, I've gotten a chance to do all sorts of crazy intros, all sorts of crazy edits, very in-depth memes and video things that, you couldn't really do anywhere else. And we keep them going. It's still going. The next episode will be next Wednesday, and, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm always there for it, and I would have a very hard time giving that show to somebody else, but
oh yeah,
it does take a team to run it.
It's tough when it's your baby, you don't want anybody else messing with it. Going a little bit more in depth to your role on Fight Night are you pretty much like literally like head production management on this show, or are you okay, so you're basically running the whole shebang?
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really cool.
Since day one, it's been like that too, which, you start like that, you get so much pressure. At this point, it's like Mark is coming to fix and make the show, which feels awesome, of course.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and that's big too, once you really get that, like, not only like the respect of it, but just the ability to be like, oh, hey, I know that these people have the ability to rely on me, and I can like actually deliver and follow through. So once again,
no, thank you.
Oh yeah.
It does mean sometimes I'm staying up till like 11, 12 before the show day, fixing things and putting stuff together that, I buried myself in these things 99% of the time, where I said, I want to do this thing. I have this idea. And now it's either like where is it? Or like, hey, that like totally didn't work. We have to totally fix this. And I'm like, yeah, that's on me. You know, I'm the one who made that horrendous decision or that great decision, and I'm going to make sure that it works. And, you know, thankfully that's like, I feel like the love for the show is the only reason I'm able to stay up super late working on these things. And it's because I care about it, you know?
Absolutely. Makes it a lot easier to do when it's, you know, something you're really invested in.
Exactly.
Can't tell you how often I just sit at work thinking about like things to do for this show. So been there for sure.
Which is awesome.
For those who are interested in checking it out, it is live on the Crown channel every Wednesday night. Go check it out. See some of Marc's great work.
4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Boom. There you go.
Twitch.tv/Crown.
Marc's also done great work on a little something called the Ultimate Crown.
Ooh.
This is the big one.
This is the big one. But since you said the fight night stuff was like a lot of pressure on you, was it even more so for the Ultimate Crown stuff?
I can't tell. I've been trying to figure this out for a little bit. In some ways it was, but it was a different pressure than what I have for Fight Night, because I was doing pretty much solely just graphics for Ultimate Crown. However, it was covering an entire arena and all the broadcast graphics. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you weigh up the options. At the end of the day, on the Ultimate Crown, I had a checklist. It was a long checklist, but I could say I finished that. I did this. This looks good. That's sent off. That's approved. With Fight Night, it's like, it's a weird cluttered list of like, this is half done. I'm waiting for approval. This got scrapped, but they don't know about it yet. You know, it's different kinds of stresses. But that show was my biggest show to date. Of course, it was massive. We had Ninja and Mr. Beast, plus all the big streamers coming in, a full arena, people in person, giveaways, swag, jerseys, which I thought I had behind me, but I don't. I have a Mr. Beast jersey. It's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was truly amazing. And I got to work in a full decked out broadcast facility for a couple days. It was freezing, and I have a bit about that in just a second. Loading everything in, and then, you know, the most rewarding part of my career to this day, it's crazy to say career because, you know, I'm just out of college. It's been basically 3 years, but walking out of the control room after you've loaded everything and seeing your graphics that you made on your little itty bitty computer on a giant
screen
all over the LED wall, it's circling the graphics around there, you know, all the little effects things that you put together night after night on your laptop are all over this arena. It just feels magical. It's awesome.
That's incredible. I can't imagine, dude. That place is like, that's some high profile esports arena, the HyperX Arena in Las Vegas. I have not been in there yet. I'm trying to go in there. I'm going in November to Vegas.
Yep.
But
you're on the casino floor down there. Just take a peek in. It's worth a trip. It's funny too that you say that. You know, my boss, obviously, he's the one who like said, you're ready to go for Fight Night. You're ready to go for this thing. I saw the opportunity for this, and I told him for the first time, I want to do this. You know, I see that there's a need for it, and I'm not going to pass up this opportunity to, no matter what the work is. You know, I have Fight Night going on. I have other shows as well, but I'm going to make this work. He witnessed me come up for the first time and see it on the screens, and he said, like, I wish I could have taken a video of that because your face just lit up. And I was like, stop. Like, don't look at me. But it really, like, I think he's the only one that witnessed that, but it was like a really big deal for me.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that, like, just like the huge kind of creative effort that comes into making a crazy event like that, you know, the giant scale of it. And that's being broadcast like literally all over the world, all the like it, you know, that's the kind of stuff that blows me away. So the fact that like you are essentially controlling the entire image of what this event is, like, that's the face of it, you know?
You can't think about that stuff in the moment though, or else you're going to like psych yourself out.
Oh, so, you know, but it's great to think about in hindsight of
after,
it.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. I have two things. I always have more, and I'm so sorry for talking your guys' ears off,
please.
But it's just exciting to talk about, you know. For the rooms that I was sitting in, it was freezing, and the little gamer pods were even colder. Like they were, I've never been in such a, it felt like right in between the edge of anything you felt in the room and a literal fridge. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why is it so cold? And this is crazy. Like something must be broken. And they were like, no, you fit a bunch of gamers in a room, people that haven't gone outside in a long time, and they're going to stink horrendously. Yep. So you keep it cold so they don't sweat, and it works.
Oh yeah.
And that tracked in my mind, and I'm like, oh, this makes so much more sense why it's freezing in here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As a many year veteran of PAX East, a huge like gamer convention, yeah, I can attest to that.
The Smash
Like,
tournaments there.
oh yeah, man. Sometimes people just like forget deodorant, and sometimes people forget showering, and it's just like, okay, well,
It's an unfair advantage.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Plus, I imagine it has to do something too with all the hardware running. Like that's gotta create a ton of heat just all the time, but still, like the the gamer waft, as I like to call it, is
Oh.
a very, very real
It's very
phenomenon.
pungent.
Oh, God, that's so nasty. That's true, but it's nasty. One of the other the highlights of the Ultimate Crown thing is, again, in the moment I didn't even really think about it, but you think about music and stuff that goes into the show, not only visuals, but like what can you use, what's allowed, what's other people's work, credits, and things like that. Stuff gets so tricky with music, especially when you're broadcasting on a live set like that. What kind of licenses do you need and things like that? And I used to DJ back in the day as well as produce music, but it hasn't been very prevalent recently. But I have been doing quite a bit of composition for these shows, openers and things like that, some backing music, little stingers and accents. We were looking for a track for this, and obviously it gets expensive and complicated when it comes to all the licenses. If it's an opening music versus background music, if it's going on socials after, if it's not. And so I was just like, I'll throw something together and see if they like it. And I created the opening music for it, and I was just like, yeah, it's I hope it's a good placeholder for now. I get locked into graphics, time passes, becomes the actual show opener, and I was like, not even really thinking about it. After the show ended, somebody told me, you made the opening music, right? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, so basically you had a song that was played live in front of like 140,000 people. And I'm like, huh, yeah, when you put it that way, I guess it's true. And then it, just stuck with me for a little bit that I got the opportunity to do that. And I didn't even notice, like I was so in the moment that I didn't even notice that.
That, like, I can't imagine how incredible that must be to just like, and I know I keep saying it almost like a broken record, just like see all that kind of stuff like come to fruition and really just like be that finished product. It's very like, I can't imagine how worthwhile like the long nights must have been. What working on both Ultimate Crown and like Fight Night and your other shows as well. Like what are some of the biggest challenges you've come to really face as you go about your time in this like large production role?
I think there's two big ones. One being all of the technical stuff. There are things that work in some situations that don't work in others, and it's just the reality of it. It's the space, the crew, the people, and you can get very frustrated when A, you expect it and it can't happen, even though it could work, or B, our client is expecting it and it just cannot work in the same way. It's a letdown, and it involves a lot of kind of sacrifices of, well, we can't do this, but to keep the show alive, we've eliminated this and now it works, or we've changed the way this looks because we thought it was going to work and now it doesn't. And you just have to be able to kind of move on from stuff like that. The way that hits more than anything is when it's your idea. And that's something that I struggle with a lot, is that I will have all sorts of ideas. I'll go way into the deep end of mocking things up, creating those models that you saw of potential shows, music tracks, graphics, ways that I want to implement things. And you can get to the point where they're even loaded in and then the show gets canceled. Or better yet, you make them and then the client doesn't like them, or your crew can't make them, or things like that. You can't force those things. You have to be able to let go of them. And it can be the hardest, most, soul crushing thing to do, but it's the reality of every producer or creative, is that a lot of your ideas are going to get shot down and you just have to be okay with it.
That's showbiz, baby.
It is.
So you said you had a Mr. Beast jersey, right?
I could go get it really quick. You guys want to see it?
I mean, if you got it, yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Ready. So it can be officially said on this broadcast, I am Team Beast.
Love that.
There you are. Team Beast #1.
That's awesome.
Did you get to meet the Beast?
No.
Oh.
So it's funny. A lot of people have asked me that, and I usually joke around and say, Mr. Beast came up to me and he told me how much he loved my graphics, and people are like, "Oh, that's so cool," and I'm like, "Yeah." Anyone else is like, "No, that didn't happen." I'm like, "Of course not. I couldn't get within like 100 feet of him."
Oh man, that's unfortunate.
It's like the idea that you get to like you enter this business as a producer and you get to like see the high profile talent, let alone like work with them. You get to deal with the problems when they come up and then not interface with them or interface with their agents. So it's definitely not as luxurious as any media portrays it to be. But at the same time, I've worked in this realm for long enough to know that even if they are super high profile, I probably wouldn't want to interface or deal with that stuff, because when you do, it's not fun.
Yeah, I can imagine if the problem rises all the way up to like, the celeb guest, the talent, like you don't want to be on the back end of that.
And you're not dealing with Mr. Beast individually. You're dealing with the handler's agent. Like,
yeah,
you are not going to talk to him. So, I was in the same room as him. We may have made eye contact at some point, lovers from across the room, but, never would I go up and talk to him, nor would I try. That's how you get kicked off a show, is you look kind of like an idiot going up to talent to try to take a photo or something.
Oh, for sure.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's that unprofessionalism. Who knows,
Pretty
though?
much.
Maybe one day you'll just like find yourself getting a beast burger.
Bill says noted. Bill, go for it.
Bill's the agent, the producer, and the talent. Bill's all three.
Top tier talent. You guys got some work to do on Bill to get to his level.
Oh yeah. But yeah, man, like, we've talked about a lot of the different things you've worked on, some of your like professional career, and how you've gotten there and some of the rewarding parts about it that you've had today. But my question is for you, like you said, you're very young, straight out of college, like you've already got tons of accolades racked up in your repertoire. What's next, do you think? What is an opportunity that you would actively like to seek out? Like, what's your dream type of position
going forward? As all young folk here, I think we're on Twitch. We see the new kind of genre of advertising, media interactions, things like that. Not to say that movies, TV shows, and things like that are gonna like go away. They're absolutely not. This new medium is gonna be a thing that comes up more and more in pop culture, media, and everywhere basically. It's right now Twitch is isolated to a lot of different countries or areas, but it's definitely not worldwide at this point. Being a young producer that knows the context of Twitch and knows the context of what needs to happen in a live production opens me up for a lot of potential shows, crazy opportunities and stuff. And I don't want to limit myself by saying like, I only work on live shows or broadcasts or things like that, but it is the primary thing that I know, and it's a unique talent. I mean, as you guys have seen Twitch, it's streamers are 90% technical issues and 10% the most hilarious content you've ever seen. So take out the tech issues as someone who does that purely, and you get a totally unique product. So I hope in the next coming, years, months, things like that, that I could start taking on, hopefully some of my own shows in progress and maybe stuff outside of Crown Channel. But, it'd be cool to do stuff as, on my own versus, it's having the back of a company is tremendous, of course, and doing stuff for a promoted channel, you get all sorts of stuff, but having complete freedom of a show and being able to build it from the ground up the way I want to would be the end goal for me. That would be awesome, especially if it's something that I can fully creatively produce with a team of people and just run with. That'd be my bread and butter.
Oh, that would be crazy, man. And hey, I look forward to seeing that day and look forward to seeing that show someday, because I think you'll get there. You're definitely on the rise. So, and it sounds like you've got the grind and like the mentality behind it. So as two folks who are also trying to do a similar kind of thing, mad props, my friend. Mad props.
God, I'm bringing you way more people on here. If you're trying to get into that sphere, I'm going to send a lot more people to talk about exactly what I'm getting into.
Hey,
so hopefully you guys get that scoop in there and keep on going.
Please do. We would love any sort of, just the fact that you came to do this, it boosts us. So we appreciate it for sure.
Again, you guys talk like I'm way cooler than I actually am. When I get home, I do nothing.
Hey man, like you need days like that. You got to be able to sit down and like actually do some gaming after working on gaming related stuff all day long.
It's true. It's very true.
Speaking of which, are you you playing any games right now? Any recommendations for the people?
Oh man, my biggest recommendation for a decompression game: Power Wash Simulator. Get it right now.
No way.
I love that game. I've beat it twice now. It's so dumb. It's literally exactly what you think it is, but for my weird brain, the way it's set up, the satisfaction of completely wiping all the scum and dirt off of a surface, it's just money.
Power washing in like IRL is it's spectacular. So I can see how much fun this game would be as well.
So dumb that that's my first thing. Otherwise, besides that, I play a lot of actually games that I get to play in my show, the ones that spark my interest on FightNet. I've been playing, some stuff by High Res. I've played Rogue Company for a bit. We had a Battlefield 2042 integration, which I know is fun to say to people that I play that, but it's gotten better a little bit. I don't have to tell people I play it all the time, but I'll play it with anyone any day.
Fair enough.
Those are two pretty big ones. I've been playing Team Fortress 2 community servers for several years, and it's probably the top 3 I could say at the time.
Gotcha. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Battlefield 2042. Hey, apparently it's making a comeback. Those kinds of games are pretty cool. I definitely now am gonna go buy Power Wash Simulator as well.
Go do it. I'll gift it to you. Add me on Steam.
Oh my god.
You too, Lucas and Bill. We'll play it together. It's co-op.
Oh my god.
Watch some stuff.
Oh, wow.
That sounds spectacular. Yeah, we'll have to get into that. We'll have to do some streaming of the Power Wash Simulator.
Just do it. Bring me back. We'll play some Power Wash Simulator all together. It'll be an awesome episode.
I did not. This is published by Square Enix on Steam as well. That's insane to me. Yo, there's so many. Nuts. There's so many simulator games out there now. Like they have one for literally everything.
I played Grass Cutter Simulator in college.
Oh, IRL, right? Gotcha.
Oh my god, that's funny. Oh well, we have one final question to ask you as we wrap up this stellar interview.
Perhaps the most important question.
Oh,
this is perhaps the most important one. I looked into a lot of your art. I looked into your one-a-days, the motion graphics you have on your website.
Deep cuts.
Yeah, man. I specifically, there was one with like a realistic tree with like something like flashing underneath it. Big fan of that one. But there was a running theme that I thought I was detecting that I brought up to Ian about, and like I only have one question for you. Your art just makes me wonder, like, are you truly scared of Poe Bear?
Oh my god.
I have absolutely no idea what that is, but I was told I had to bring it up.
My one F-bomb, fucking Ian. My god. that man set me up for this. He literally messaged me today. He's like, can I get that video? And I'm like, sure. Oh, how do I even begin with this? Yes, I'm terrified of Poe Bear. I never want to see him again. Poe Bear is a savage, and Poe Bear deserves to be in the Goodwill bin that he's in today.
Oh, jeez.
Poe Bear was a mascot costume, borderline furry costume of a polar bear that basically I wore along with my friend when we would like be fake mascots for a soccer team back in like 6th grade. We thought we were like the shit. So funny. We were wearing these costumes and dancing around. For some reason that got brought back up to my college. The same unwashed costume from 6th grade. I'm telling this to Ian now. I hope he discovers that it's never been washed. I had it and I brought it out once and I was like, Ian, put this on. He was like, oh, it's a bear. And I'm like, yeah, it's a polar bear. And he's like, Poe Bear. And I'm like, yeah. And my roommates would beat the shit out of each other in that costume. And it was the funniest thing ever. So I'd film it, all the shenanigans when we lived together.
I think I saw a video of this.
Yep. And so I filmed a couple times of Poe Bear getting destroyed. There were a couple more appearances that I didn't film where, drinks got spilled on it or like the stench of BO from everyone wearing it would just leak out of it. It was disgusting. And by the time that Poe Bear expired, which it expired a long time ago, by the time that it needed to go, it was a very like sentimental, bittersweet text where Ian was like, hey, this thing is disgusting and it's like kind of yellowish. I'm going to go give it to Goodwill. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's time. It's time to get rid of Poe Bear. Yes, I would be terrified if that costume ever came back. And I could say that the visuals that I make in life and on Instagram are really just the fact that I never want to see that again.
It's incredibly
You
reflective.
could put my name on that.
Well, heard it here, folks. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Signed, sealed, delivered. This man is terrified of Poe Bear. Do not bring it back up.
I'll do it.
Oh man, that's so
I
funny.
think after that description, I'm also a little frightened myself.
You should be.
Oh, well, I think with that, we'll tie it up. Thank you very much for coming onto our show and talking with us tonight, Mark. Cannot appreciate it more. And this camera, all the cameras in front of you, I imagine. Give us a shout out. Tell us what you're up to. Tell us what you want us to go check out. Plug your socials, all the things, my friend.
It's worth giving you guys more of a shout out, honestly, because this podcast has been awesome. You did so much good work researching me and stuff that I honestly totally forgot about. Super in depth with all the articles and the shows that I've worked on. It's so fun to just have somebody that knows enough about what I'm doing to be able to talk about it and understand it. So you guys absolutely rocked this. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can find me at Lone Human on Instagram. I'm slowly starting to shift over to Be Real and a couple other media sources, but either Marc Gleckman, Lone Human, add me wherever you want. Say that you're from the gaming podcast, give them a shout out. And, I'll keep on being at Crown. Watch my show Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/Crown. I'll be on all the other programming as well, doing stuff in the background. So catch me there and say hi and chat.
Perfect. Well, once again, thanks for coming, man. And it's been a blast.
Thank you, guys. It's been awesome. I'll catch you guys soon.
Alrighty, that was our interview with Mark, and I just got to say, one of the better episodes, I think, for all you listening, loyal viewers and people out there. That was a real treat for us. Hopefully, you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it was a slam dunk of an episode, slam dunk of an interview. Real cool guy. Again, shout out to our mutual friend Ian for hooking this up and putting it together. It was very valuable. We learned a lot, and I'm very excited to see what Mark continues to work on and what he continues to put out down the line, because a lot of that stuff on Crown is actually like really entertaining to watch. Like it's a brilliant concept too, especially the fact that it came about in the pandemic-y kind of era, like really exploded because of how audience interactivity based it is. So I like, from a production standpoint, to have to like literally on the fly jump around like that all the time for whatever result may occur blows my mind. Like, did you ever way back watch any of those like Twitch does Pokemon like streams? No, I know Bill knows what I'm talking about, but they basically it's basically like a Pokemon, like somebody's playing through a Pokemon, but the chat like controls everything from like literally moving your character to like what Pokemon you're getting, what your nickname and stuff like that, but to like run an actual live production based on like that kind of audience interaction blows my mind.
Yeah, it takes a real talented individual to pull something like that off. So
absolutely
happy we got to get him on the show.
You guys like that kind of content, come back for more, please. We want to like start becoming like more of the hub for these kinds of interviews, where it's people, be it a game developer, be it someone like Mark who's working with production software and production talent to put on content about gaming out, be it like the streamers themselves who might someday be like on one of these shows. We're here to consolidate all these different viewpoints across the industry for you, and we want to do it in the best way we can, and we can only do that with your support and your follow on Instagram at GameChat_Tom Lucas. Check us out on YouTube. Please check us out on YouTube. Don't follow us on Twitter because we're not there yet.
Yeah, we don't exist on there, apparently.
Yeah, but everywhere else, come and check us out, please. If you liked that, drop a follow, drop a like, tell your friends. we only got more great things coming, don't we?
Yeah, more interviews and things will be on the horizon. So, if you like that, stick around. Season 3 is just getting underway.
Absolutely. And until next time, I'm Tom.
And Lucas. And we are Game Chat. And goodbye.
See you later.